that we talked about this in the beginning of the semester, that you don't need to work for an event production company to do events. In business, there are lots of different kinds of events that fall under human resources, employee recognition, morale builders, trainings, just to improve the climate in the workplace. And also marketing will have events as well. So I've asked Lauren to share with us some of the events that they put on at the Cambridge Marriott, so that you can get a flavor of, that events just don't have to be in an event department. You can also work in HR. So Lauren, with that, you should know that Lauren may slip up and call me Bunny, because Bunny was my college nickname. Well, actually, it wasn't my college nickname. It was my nickname. It is my nickname. It was my grandmother's name. So she might slip and call me Bunny. So just so you can get your little snickers out of the way from the beginning. But Lauren was also my big sister in Delta Gamma, my sorority at Penn State. So we go way, way back. All right. So with that, Lauren, I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Bast. I'll be professional at the beginning. I want to thank all of you. I know if anybody was up watching the game, as Bunny mentioned, if you're a Phillies fan, it's not a good ending. But in light of that, classes still continued today, although driving into work here in Boston, it was a little bit less traffic. So I think a lot of people stayed up to the end of the game and watched it. But what I'm going to share with you today is how the HR world partners with the event team on the property to make events occur for our hourly associates. And what's unique about it, at least to me, is that the opportunity just to share the different types of things we've done throughout the years and the people who participate and make it to what it actually is. So I kind of sharing with you the agenda on how everything kind of works, but there's always the beginning to an event. Then we call the middle is probably the production, how it wraps up. And then we always take the time after each event to critique it. And the critique is important because you want to make sure when you execute the next event, you review what things worked well. And if you decide to repeat the event, then you have some follow-up on things that make it easier for you to execute instead of starting the wheel all over again. So with that, I'm hoping it moves. Wait. There we go. So with that, the wheel kind of starts with, we put together this great idea, and there's always somebody in the hotel who has this vision. Sometimes it's the general manager that says, hey, I want this event together for other people to join. Sometimes it's myself saying, hey, we need to get a rally together. We need to make it fun and exciting. And how can we do that? And so we take kind of all those pieces and the team puts it together. I'll wait 1 second.
Yeah, I'm going to go through and mute. Please make sure you guys are on mute.
That's a little bit better. Yeah. And then we take the time to kind of think about what do we want it to be? What do we want the outcome? And then we take the bigger portion of it and actually create it. So ideas and vision come very easily. They flow. Some things are a little bit more expensive, some things a little bit less, but we really try to put something together that when we go to execute it, we have the resources available to make it what we believe it should be for our associates. And you want to give them the best experience of it. And that's why we want to put the right amount of time into pre-planning it. And we do this with other managers. Sometimes we involve hourly associates, but we work side by side with our event team, whether the planning or the operations event team, to make the event go flawless. So everybody knows that there's the support team. The support team in the event world is the operations floor. Now they are the ones that actually set the room And I have been known many times to reset a room after they've already set a room, saying, oh, no, we need to tweak it. But it's important when you're planning your event that you are as specific as possible when you're giving details to the event support team, because they are the ones on the operation field that are truly going to take your kind of vision and dream and set the room the way you want it for whatever event it is. They do not get probably as much recognition as they should, because they're doing everything behind the scenes, where the event servers, banquet servers, they're more a part of the whole event. But those that take care of us and probably deal more with the HR's wish to change things are the ones that are behind the scenes. So always remember to thank people. I believe I shared this when I taught this class in the fall. Mr. Marriott, when he comes through and does a tour, or we have a big, huge convention, they always bring out all the staff behind the scenes just so that we can give them a nice round of applause and thank them. But you're going to have to do that yourself for those people that are within your own support team. I'm going to apologize. Somebody's calling my phone. And then imagine that they do events for all different venues. So I'm sure during your years, you've probably attended a family wedding, friend wedding, and you've walked into the event and you see how it's set, whether it's on the left, the pictures of an elegant wedding reception. On the right, it's a convention room set, but they wanted to dress it up a little. So they did the chairs, they had the skirted tables. So the event support team puts together those little requests that not only myself, but other people in the hotel request. And those are the things that sometimes make the event just more of what you're looking for. So what your vision's looking for when you're looking at the room and you want to have it displayed the way you want for that meeting. Now, what's important is there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So you have to get the room set, you have to figure out the food, the AV, what's the agenda going to be, what is going to be your, we're doing a PowerPoint, what's going to be the PowerPoint. So I'm using the guy running behind the ice cream truck as an example, because sometimes you lose an opportunity when somebody's right in front of you. And we forget those things, that there's people that are all around us that are able and willing to contribute to it, but we forget. So here's the ice cream truck. He's just going because he doesn't see some little kid. He sees more of an adult running behind him who wants an ice cream. But you want to make sure that you're looking at your full audience and that they're participating. So to get the audience, you have to envision who are the people that are going to be a part of it. Then on the right, the picture with all the sunflowers and the very busy drape, you kind of lose the food, what's on display in the picture. So you envision, oh, this will be so great. There'll be a lot of, flowers and it'll have a lot of color, but then you don't get to appreciate the food that's on display. You have to take into account that everything you do, you have to imagine how is somebody else going to see it and perceive it when they're in the actual event. So learning how to present something is an art in itself, but utilize the knowledge of your event team, whether it's the support team on the floor or the event planning people, when they say, I wouldn't do it quite that way because this is what it's going to look like. And when they say that, they're trying to help you to set the room the right way so that people can really enjoy the event. Then we have the infamous, I don't know if any of you have ever seen a formal dinner table setting or been trained on this, but the unique thing with this is that years ago, my grandmother was in the hotel business and she taught us how to set the Thanksgiving table exactly like this. So we would set our Thanksgiving table with all these utensils and plates and glasses, and it was important to learn the placement because she said that's when people know the expectation of what they're going to get. It's very, very old school, but I can now share a great tidbit. My son spent the summer working at a country club north of Chicago in their food and beverage. And this was one of the things that they taught all of the interns was the importance of where does everything get placed when you're doing a formal event, and how important it is to make sure it's in the right place, because that's the expectation for the person who's sitting down, expects it to be there. So old school, definitely, but it's also, you have to remember who's attending your event. So you want to make sure that you're catering to those people that are coming to your event. And in the world of HR here at the hotel, it's always our associates. That's who we're planning the event for. So with that, I'm going to walk through a couple of, I believe, kind of great examples. And if anybody has a question, feel free to raise your hand or do something. I'm happy to answer.
Hey, Lauren, let me interrupt for
Sure.
a minute. Students, so when you go back, Lauren, if you could go back to the slide with the 2 pictures.
Mhm.
Okay, so remember, this was perfect because that you're presenting at this stage of the game, because we've talked about the importance of analyzing who the people are that you're doing the event for and what they want out of it. So that reinforced that. The other thing with the very busy table, buffet display, when you think about that panel that we listened to, what does that relate to with one of the suggestions? Can anybody remember the 3 guys that gave us suggestions, and we had discussion questions in class? What does that remind you of, one of the points that one of them made? You can type it in or you can unmute. Can you remember? There was kind of 2 of them that this jogged my memory about. Remember the thing about production value, how, yes, Jack, thank you. Everything is a designable surface. Very good. Yeah, like, so they looked at this and they went overboard, right? They took it too far. So again, like Lauren said, you lost the food and the whole surface design. The other part was, production value, meaning, does more mean better? Is more always better? And here's an example. But Jack, you're exactly right. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Lauren, we had a panel of event planners and each gave 3 tips. And one of them was everything's a designable surface. So look for places to add design that you don't usually think of. But here's an example where it went a little too far.
Yeah, this is just like a lot of busy work. And I think, chefs put a lot of time into their food, and whether it's the presentation or the taste or how they'd like it displayed. But when you lose it on a whole table like that, then you've kind of lost the appeal for what maybe somebody was trying to, achieve. So those are the things. It looks great in your mind. You think, oh, this is going to be really nice, but way too busy and you just lose the focus. Like, all I can see is just the flowers. I don't see that there's lovely salads and other things that are presented that you should really be more focused on.
Right. Okay, sorry about that.
No, that was great. Thanks. So back to Oktoberfest. So had this brilliant idea. We wanted to do something fun. It was October. We had a vision, as anybody would have a vision, I'm sure, of what we wanted to see at within the room. And so it took a little bit of creativity. People had to kind of do things differently than we've done in the past for rallies. But what we came up with was we wanted to make sure we provided the food that was of like Bavaria. So we had the pretzels with the different dipping sauces. And then on the left, and Chef and I disagreed on this, and I learned that you should listen to your chef. He brought in the meats and the cheeses from Germany. And I said, no, people aren't going to eat them. And this is very early on in the display at the beginning. but you would be amazed. Everybody at least tried it. And so he brought the taste of Bavaria to this meeting. And this is just a little taste of some cheeses and specific meats that they would have at an actual Oktoberfest. And I truly didn't appreciate it till after the fact, because it was something that he suggested to say, oh, just don't do the hot pretzels. Let's do these other cheeses and meats. So sometimes you have to listen to kind of like your other people that are going to plan the event with you to make sure that it is what you think it should be. So the vision on the left is actually a true Bavarian Hall over in Germany. And so I had this vision of long tables. So you'll see in the center, we have the long tables set up, and we put the tables all along, all the seats. And then we did a runner just to kind of give it just that little bit of flair, added some little trinkets to the table, little, hats and things like that, but more so that people would get the appreciation of like, this is what it's like when you're there. On the right, I was just sharing another view that we did multiple tables through the room. So there were 3 huge long tables. We had probably over 80 people in there at that time. But what we were trying to do is make the room feel like this is where you were. So you have the food, and then you have the room. And then, of course, you have on the left, that's my general manager at that time, in this kind of t-shirt, and I'm sure you can probably get it anywhere, with this little Austrian hat there, that he wore that outfit for the whole presentation. So he kind of brought the whole theme together. And part of our presentation, we recognize our associates. And here we have one who is celebrating 30 years with the company, one of our housekeepers. And then on the right, we put together one of those little photo booths. And we had the backdrop, and then we had all the little add-ons that you could do. But we were trying to bring home the let's make it fun, and then also how the whole team brought it together with the GM actually dressing up for this special occasion. So having the people that participate in the presentation be a part of the actual event also brings it more to that whole kind of vision that you see when you sit down and kind of draw up the ideas. Next, we have our infamous talent show. Now, this took a lot of planning. This was several months of planning, because you have to be able to, find talent, people that want to perform in front of others. How are we going to set the room? There was much more AV to this rally, but we did the same thing so that we wanted our associates to somewhat be in a theater style, watching it like you would if you were actually there. And then we also had our own panel of judges. So again, my GM, Alan, dressed up, and here he is introducing everybody. You have the presentation off to the left on the screen, and then you have a stage, because we wanted to have the people that were doing the talent be on stage. We have a dance floor in front of you, and then we have what would be all of the associates would have been sitting in theater style before that. So the room set had to be between event operations, the planning team, the audiovisual people in the hotel that take care of our AV, and then also what else did we want from an HR perspective in this meeting. So when you have to collaborate all those groups of people and get it to what you want for that specific day, there's a lot of pre-work that goes into an event like this. And this is just for a 1-hour associate rally to bring the associates together to share with them and then see a talent show. So the talent is on the left this was my, obviously the GM again, Director of Ops, Director of Engineering, put together this little show thing to music, was up on the screen. So they were live and then they were taped on the screen. And this is how you kind of bring it to life when the leaders of the hotel actually become a part of the whole planning of it. So they wanted to be our participant, be in the talent piece of it. So to make everybody feel like everybody should be included in this event. Then we have on our left, this is one of the AV guys. He shared with us, which was priceless, that he was an opera singer. And this is what he loved to do. So he did a whole presentation, which was amazing. He had a fabulous voice. And then on the right, one of our ballet drivers, he's a juggler. So he was juggling his tennis balls for, I don't know, like 5 minutes, showing us how he could juggle. But it was amazing how associates and even an AV who was a contractor for us in the hotel wanted to participate in this event and share it with all the associates that are sitting there watching them. Then on the left, we had our, that's our executive chef. He's a trombone player. And so he played a couple of melodies for us. And then on the right, so I'm on the far right, that's me, Lauren. In the center is Jody, and on the left again is my GM. Jody is my human resource manager, and she was the executive producer of this whole production. So she had a timesheet with this person goes on, this person does this is what we need to do with that. We taped the whole thing so that we could use it for future events. She was the nuts and bolts and put the whole production together where everybody would be able to come and actually enjoy the event and enjoy watching managers and associates actually do their talent. Then we went back into, because we always do recognition, and on the left, you'll see my GM with one of our associates, that's Angel. Angel is actually a deaf associate, and we have all learned how to sign happy birthday to him in American Sign Language, which he thinks is so funny because we're all so proud of ourselves because we're singing and doing it, but he just kind of laughs because he's watching our hands. Then on the right, you see the panel of judges. We had people from outside the hotel come in to actually judge the talent show. So we had our 3 judges, and we had one of our training managers on the left there. She was our MC for the day. So she actually kind of ran the whole talent piece of it and getting people from the audience involved, and how did people feel about the most recent presentation. But this is how you get your staff to be involved with an event in the hotel. You want them to feel a part of it. Then another event we do is each summer we do a barbecue up on our 4th floor roof deck. So this has become much easier because the deck was just recently done and has a brand new grill built in up there. So we just had to bring up the food, some of the condiments, the sides. But that's actually our chef on the left cooking, my new GM, Dan, over there getting his plate filled. And then we did activities. So during the barbecue, you come up, you have your lunch while you're up there. It was a beautiful August day, a great breeze. So even though it was hot, there was a beautiful breeze. And then on the right, there's actually a pickleball court. There's cornhole. And beyond that is the brand new 19-story Google building that adjoins practically to our hotel. So we do events not just in the hotel, but this was upstairs on a shared roof deck with Google. And the nice thing about this is that it changed the ballroom aspect to being outside. So we had a nice outside event. Everybody came up and enjoyed it during the course of their day. I have some pictures here of the associates at the tables eating their lunch. And it's just nice. They're not in the cafeteria where they eat all their other meals, but here they are up being able to enjoy themselves with others. Going back a few years, we went with this March Madness idea. Kind of probably took it to an extreme that we found out probably wasn't one of our best ideas. We had a little problem in the ballroom afterwards, but it was probably one of the funnest that we had done in years, because we really brought the basketball and we brought St. Patty's Day all together in one room. So on the left, you have all the exec and dressed up as either basketball or refs. We have our infamous little leprechaun. But as you'll see the room set, you can see on the right that we have an actual dance floor down. And we actually have, that is a basketball hoop. It is official size. And what we learned is that the chandelier that's hanging there kind of got hit a few times. And then we set up the sides like stadium seating. So they're tiered off to the side. And we wanted to make it like it was like a court. Like here's, you got your basketball court, you have your tiered seating up on the sides so that people could actually watch what was going on. And we did a competition on the court of how many, foul shots you could shoot and things like that. So we had teams made up because we wanted to make it like a competitive thing with the associates, but also a fun thing for those that wanted to participate. So as you'll see, the team on the left won first place. It was a couple of engineers, cooks, some of the banquet folks were in there, and they just had the best time because they were just like, we don't even know how to play basketball, but they were all shooting them, and they made the most, balls in through the net, and that's how they got to win. And then on the right, the food that we partnered with this event was all about, the comfort food that you'd get at a stadium. So they went and they got their popcorns, they could put toppings on it. There was like nachos, but we wanted it to be just as if you were in the, the garden up here in Boston, and it had that atmosphere to it. So all the little things you do to make it an event and make it fun, that's what people will talk about afterwards. So if you don't try to make the food be a part of the event, they have to kind of blend together a little so that everybody knows that they can it's a part of that specific event. Then on the left, we just have a photo of an associate, my director of ops, John, and then Alan, my GM again. Alan, my GM, he would dress up for anything and everything. So he was always excited when there was something fun to do. And then on the right, you can see we took the basketball theme right to some round tables in the back, just to kind of keep the whole theme throughout the room. You saw the uplighting with the green. We added that for the St. Patty's Day, also kind of like with the garden. But it's really important that whatever you do, you want to make it be a part of that event and that people take notice to it. So if it gets lost when you walk into a room and they don't notice it, then it wasn't worth setting it up and doing that way. But when people walked into that room and saw the basketball court with the basketball hoop, they were just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And that's what makes the event, is that they can enjoy themselves for an hour and kind of forget about work, but have some fun. And whether it's watching your other associates, shoot hoops, or whether you're just sitting there having a snack with somebody you haven't chit-chatted with in a while, whatever it is, it's that piece of it that makes it so important. Any questions or anything from anybody out there? Okay, I'll keep going. Next event's holiday season. We do a lot of things during the holiday season. And obviously, one thing that we've done is we've always done this pancakes with Santa. So on a Saturday in December, we invite all the associates and their children, come to the hotel. We set the room for the kids. So imagine we're not focusing on our associates, we're actually focusing on their kids right now. So in the picture on the left, you'll see we have Santa, Mrs. Claus, and an elf, our assistant director of finance. But in the back of that, you'll see that we have up on a screen, it's Charlie Brown's Christmas, but we set it up with like a little theater, a couple of chairs in front, so that the kids, if they wanted to go watch it, they could go watch a Christmas show, maybe while their parents walked around or they did other things. Everybody gets a photo with Santa, and we make sure that we take photos and then distribute them. And then also everybody takes it with their phones now too. And then we have a whole craft table. So here I am with my little assistant there. And she and I were putting together the whole craft table because part of making it fun for the kids is to have something for them to do. So it's nice when you can do something for your associates, but when they bring your kids and then the kids have a craft to do. So we not only did crafts, but we also did decorating gingerbread men and women with, icing and all the toppings that you could possibly imagine. But you want to make it interactive so it occupies their time and then they can enjoy it. And then also their parents, who are our associates, can enjoy having pancakes and sitting around and visiting with everybody in the true holiday spirit. We do it, it's just 2 hours. It's like the quickest event ever. We like open the door, everybody comes flying in, and then the line starts when Santa arrives. But the whole 2 hours is all about having activities for the kids to keep them busy so that their parents, the associates, can sit and enjoy breakfast along with their kids if they choose to, and then have pictures with Santa. So each event, you kind of have to keep looking at who's your audience, who are you trying to take care of, what do you need to do to execute against that plan. And as you notice, each of these events is very different, but the time and energy that goes into each event depends on how detailed it is. I'm going to just go over a couple ones that we've done more recently in the last couple of years prior to COVID. We did like a Price is Right type of thing, event where we actually had, items, and they were actually hotel items. So we were trying to have a lot of fun with that. But we did a whole, come on up, get your name, guess how much it is. We did a whole theme like that. Another event on the top left corner, we got one of those dollar machines. So you go in, it blows dollars. We didn't use real dollars, we used fake dollars. But then the associates were trying to grab as many as they could. And if as many as they grab is what they got to get as their prize. So with each event, we try to have something where people can either win a prize, participate to win a prize, or everybody gets some little token to take with them. You have to have something which engages the associates in each event, because if they're not engaged, then they just come, eat, and leave, and nothing stays with them. So you need to be able to bring something to life in front of them, whether it's the Price is Right or the Blizzard of Dollars, that they can see and be interactive with, and then you're able to remember and how to share that in years. So people remember the Blizzard for Dollars because it was so funny watching associates in the little bubble trying to grab as many dollars as they could. And people still talk about that one specific event because of how much fun that was. And each time you go to plan a different event, you want to make sure that you're doing it as best as you can and making it as flawless as you can. So that's hard because sometimes we try too hard to add too many details, like the tablecloth with the food, and then maybe we're making it too active. But you want to make sure it's just the right activity with just the right sharing, and make it an event, because remember, these events are only 1 hour long. So when you think about 1 hour, it's not a lot when you have to compact that all into 1 hour with everybody being there. Then we did art of hosting. This is when Marriott became, we joined forces with Starwood back in 2016. So what they wanted to do is introduce all of our associates to 30 brands, adding in the Starwood. And they gave us some ideas. So we came up with the red carpet lined with the balloons. And then we got all those fun things that you love to do for pictures: hats, glasses, boas, and had all the associates.
Hi, Sasha.
Shangdong, please mute.
As associates came down the red carpet, we took this group picture in front of the wall behind them that has the 30 brands, and we were trying to make it fun. And then we went into the presentation itself. And on our left, again, Alan, my GM, top hat and all, but he made lapel pins of all the 30 brands to drive home the fact that now we are all one hotel. Little things like that is what people remember. So it goes back to, this was a very short event. It was driven from corporate, meant to be about a half hour long. We had some light refreshments, but it was really to roll out that we have now joined forces with Starwood. They were going to be a part of our total hotel portfolio. And what are all these new brands that we need to learn about and be aware of? But sometimes you just have to make it fun, just so people kind of enjoy it and then understand it more. And something with such as a huge change as learning about all of the new brands, this is where this became such a learning for all of us. So with that, I've kind of gone over a bunch of unique events that we've had here at the hotel, kind of from beginning to end. But if there's any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Students, you can, let me make sure I unmute myself here. I'm not muted. Feel free to type in any questions you have, and then I will facilitate that, and I'll let Lauren know as she continues.
So anyway, so that is the end of my presentation, Dr. Bast.
Okay, okay. So, one thing that I'd like to, first of all, thank you so much. I think it's an eye opener for us to see how many different kinds of events HR will do. From a morale and culture standpoint, how, as you as director of HR, how did you feel about these? Were they a pain, or did you feel that they were really worth doing because it really helped morale and associates feeling valued and important at the hotel?
No, in my, I believe that every event that you do that involves the associates, talent show, the March Madness with the basketball hoop, those type of events, when there's more interaction, make it fun.
Okay.
When it's just, sometimes we're just doing, like the art of hosting was rolling out the 30 brands. That was just really a presentation. We
Okay.
added a little bit of fun with the runway, but you really, if they're a part of or at least some of them are a part of the actual presentation rally, it becomes much more of an interactive, and those are the ones when you get them really engaged. That's where they become, they're seeing their peers doing things that they're not used to seeing them do. So when you see a cook all of a sudden on the court throwing, a basketball through the hoop, like, oh my God, I didn't even know she could do that. It's that type of thing that kind of brings them together. And we're all one big family here. So we think we know everything about everybody, but it's those one-offs when you have the interaction, those are way more engaging than when we just do a presentation.
Okay. So Lauren, I have a question. And you almost just answered it, right, Gabby? It was about, adding associates to be part of the event makes it fun. So I was thinking particularly of when you had, I think it was your training manager be the MC or does that add to the fun nature of it?
Those things add to it because it's somebody else. So instead of the GM presenting or myself presenting or the director of finance, we always present at a rally about things that are going on within the company, the hotel, our local area. But when you can bring in somebody else to do a presentation, or you can make the associates be a part of the whole, that's when you get that extra engagement. And
okay,
you're truly trying to drive associate engagement. That's what you're trying to do with the rallies. But you also sometimes want to educate them about things that are going on within the Marriott world.
right. So it's a little unexpected, and they have somebody else telling them something, so they pay a little. I can definitely see how that makes a difference. And the tendency would be to have the same old people always presenting, right?
The tendency is always that, yes.
Yeah. Well, this is terrific. Anybody else have any questions? Lauren, thank you so much. We didn't collaborate ahead of time, trust me. And I think it's great to see that a professional in practice actually uses a lot of the principles that we talk about in event management in this course. So thank you very much, Lauren, for reinforcing some of the things we've been talking about. And also thank you for your time.
Oh, no, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's a great way to kick off a Monday.
Yeah.